Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your constant support. So this is the outfit we're making today. If this is something you're interested in, please stick around, keep watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave me comments. Let's get into it. So as per usual, I'm starting off with my bodice block, so which I've already traced out. I'll be leaving a link below for to the bodice block tutorial, so you can use that to create yours. So first off, you're going to be needing your shoulder to your under bust measurement. So I'm going to be placing my tape at the nape of my neck, or rather the tip of my neck, and marking that measurement on my dart. So just extend that wherever the measurement stops, you mark that on both legs of that. Now from that point, I'm going to check up to the waist, and whatever the measurement is, I will mark it also on the side. So I'm just ruling a straight line to connect all those points. Just using my marker to make it more visible. Now starting from my center front line, starting from that line I just created, I'm going to mark 1 inch above. And I'm going to use my curve ruler to blend this. You see what I'm doing? Just make sure that just blend it. You can see it's not lying flat. As long as it's resting, it's touching the ends. Where the line ends, that's fair enough. So you can see I'm just blending that into my underbust line. So I'd already replicated the same line at the front and the back. I decided no, I didn't need it, so I cancelled it out. I wanted the back to remain whole. I didn't want any joining at the back. So next up, from the waist down rather, I took half an inch allowance. I just wanted to bring the waist down a bit. I wanted it to come down a bit low. So next up, I'm also going to be coming down at the back waist by half. But I'm only coming down on the side of the back, not the center back. I'm going to blend this ½ inch into the back. Do you see what I did there? So can you see the difference between the two waists? So now I'm just going to separate the top half from the bottom half, and I'm keeping the bottom half separate. So please guys, at this point, please subscribe if you haven't and give me a thumbs up. So now I've also separated the front from the back. I'm going to come down by 1 inch on the side arm, under the armhole rather, just 1 inch, and I'm going to blend this into the armhole with a smooth curve. So just use your curve ruler. So I'm done doing that. I'm just going to cancel the previous one. So this is my new armhole. So next I'm just going to indicate that the top part is 1 and this second half is 2, and I'm going to separate 1 from 2. So after separating, next thing I'm going to do is close up the dart on the number 2. So to close up the dart, the first thing I did, as you can see, the line is not straight. There's a curve after the original waistline. So I need to straighten that line. So what I'm going to do is, you see I placed the ruler starting at the former waistline, just keeping it straight, and I just extended that line upward just so I can get 2 straight lines. So now I'm going to remove the excess paper at the side, and then I'm going to cut this my line, remove the other one so I can remove the excess, and I'm just going to close up my darts, making sure that all the lines are touching each other. So I'm done closing that with a tape, and I'm just going to keep that aside. So now I'm going back to the number 1, and I'm just going to be indicating that this is my front. So I remember when I'm drafting or cutting from my fabric, yeah, this is the front. So I'm just going to trim out the excess paper around. So when I'm done doing that, next thing I want to do is close up my side darts. So I'm just cutting this leg of one of the darts. Then I'm going to also cut open. First of all, I'll be extending this line. You see what I did? I extended it to touch the tip of the side dart. Then I'm going to cut on one side of it, preferably the opposite side, not the side of the, cut exactly where I cut. So now I'm just going to flip, make sure that it's dangling like this, and then I'll just flip over and cover up my side dart, so that I'll move that side dart to the under bust. I'm just going to hold that down with a tape, and then I'll cut out that small part of the remaining darts because I won't be needing that anymore. So the next thing I want to do is take out excess from the neckline of the dress, because there's not going to be any button on anything there, so I don't want it to gape. So just make a straight line using the bust that point as your guide. Just make a straight line onto the center front. I'm going to be taking away half an inch, guys, half an inch allowance. I'm going to just blend that in. So what I'm going to do now is make a snip on one of those lines, and I'm just going to flip it over and cover the other one. So it's going to take away the excess from the front chest area. It's not going to make it gape, it's going to make it sit, and I'm going to just tape that down. So the next thing I'm going to do is take away half inch at the neckline. You see what I'm doing, half an inch, just so it has a bit of a V opening. Then I'm going to connect that half inch point to the end, just like that. So I'm going to trim off that excess because I won't be needing that anymore. So you can try to put a paper under your underbust dart and just to close it up or to fill up the space, or you can do it on your fabric. I prefer to do it on my fabric. So that's all. I'm just going to keep this aside and I'm going to work on the back. So first off, I'm just indicating that this is my back and writing that down, the back. So just like I did in the front, I came down by 1 inch at the armhole, and I'm going to blend this into the existing armhole, just with a smooth curve. Just make sure that it's touching the lines, and then just blend that in. So I'm not going to be needing the original one. This is my new armhole. So at this point, I decided to bring my back neckline down by half an inch. So I'm just marking half an inch all around. So as you can see, I'm blending the half inch at the center back into the edge of the neckline. So this is what it's looking like, and I'm just going to trim off the excess. I'm just indicating that we're cutting 2 pieces for this. Please, also the front is 2 pieces. I don't know how I keep forgetting, so that's why I'm rewriting it. On this, I'll be cutting on fold. That's why I drew that kind of square, and I'm going to be writing fold. This number 2 piece I'm showing you is for my front, so I'm going to be cutting the front on fold, and I'll be cutting 2 pieces. Also the center front, also the top number 1 of the front, I'll be cutting 2 pieces, but it will not be on fold. There's going to be a seam at the front, and that's everything for the front and the back. This is the top half. So now I'm done with this pattern. The top part, I'm going to be keeping that aside. So next up, I want to show you how to cut the facing for the back, because the back is definitely going to need a facing. The front, so what I'm just doing is tracing out my neckline onto a blank paper. Can you see what I'm doing? I just placed my pattern onto a fresh paper, and I'm just tracing the neck, the shoulder, and a bit down the center back. Can you see what it's looking like? So let me just use my marker to make it much more visible. So I just placed my block and I just traced the original. Now this is an original block, the original outline without any allowance. So I'm just going to come down by, I decided to take 1 inch as the main. So just mark yours the way I'm marking. Do you see 1 inch on the side? And I'm going to connect all those lines. Now this is my original allowance. Now I need this is my original facing. I need allowance all around that facing. So for the center back, I'm taking 1 inch. Do you see what I'm doing? I'm just marking 1 inch out. I'm going to rule that straight line. Just going to come out, connect that. I'm also going to do the same thing for this shoulder part. I'm going to be taking half an inch. Can you see what I'm doing? Half an inch. So please, I'm saying out these specifications so you know what I'm saying. For the shoulder, I took half an inch. For the center front, I took 1 inch. Now for the neckline of the back, I'm going to be using another ½ inch allowance. So this is how I draft the pattern for my facing. Usually I just do it on the fabric, but just because of beginners here, I'm trying to explain everything as slowly as possible. So I'm going to just cut that out. So this is going to be my facing allowance. So what this means is when I want to cut my facing, I just place this on my fabric and just cut directly, no allowance. all the allowances are already included here. And guys, please know these allowances are included here are the exact allowances I'll be using on my main piece. 1/2 inch at the neckline, 1/2 inch at the shoulder, 1 inch on the center back. So that's why I indicated those exact allowances here on the facing. So this is my back. I'm going to be cutting my back facing, and I'm also going to cut in 2 pieces of this. Guys, this facing pattern does not need any more allowance. This one, no. Your main fabric pattern needs an allowance, but this facing does not need an allowance because I've already put the allowance on it. So you just place and you cut. So next up, I want to make the pattern for my sleeve block. The sleeve has a bit of a puff at the top, so that's what I'm trying to do here. So this is my existing normal sleeve block. I'll leave a link below to that so you can make yours. So the split in the middle is just my normal block split into 2 open. I used it for a previous design, so that's why I'm just trying to reuse it. But I've already explained what that cut in the middle means. So now I'm just going to place it on top of a fresh paper because it's going to have a bit of puff at the top. So now this is what I do. So first of all, I'm just closing my sleeve up to just half of it. If you already have a whole sleeve, you don't need to do this process. You can just skip. But I'm just reminding you guys that I have a split in the middle of mine just because I used it for a previous design. So I'm just trying to close this up halfway. So now I'm done doing that. I'm going to now bring back my fresh paper. I'm just going to place this already covered or closed piece on top of it. I'm going to making sure that there's enough space at the top of it, please. So I'm just holding that down with a tape. Then next up, I'm going to create an horizontal line, rather a vertical line straight up, using my middle line as a guide. Just going to rule that straight up. I'm going to measure on that line. If you have enough fabric, you can go as high as possible. But I didn't have enough fabric. I was really trying to manage. So I just made mine 2 inches high. So I felt like that was okay because for the fabric that I had, if you have a lot of fabric, you can make yours as high as 4 inches. So this is what I'm doing. I made mine 2 inches. Can you see? So I'm just marking that. Now you're going to just follow the natural curve of the sleeve and just make sure it touches that top. So I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. If your curved ruler can do it, you do. If not, you can use your free hand to just do that. So the trick is just to make sure you mimic the original curve of the sleeve and just follow that all the way upward. So that's just it. So now I'm just cutting along that line. Just cut and cut and cut and cut all the way around. Now because this dress is a balloon puff sleeve, I'm just going to split back my middle open again. This time I'm splitting it all the way to the new top, and I'll just open that out. This I'm going to place on my fabric, and I'm going to trace my allowance all around and cut. So please make sure you snip as close as possible, but don't separate the paper. So this is pretty much it. So I decided to just show how I'll cut it on the fabric here because I did not want the sewing part to be lengthy. The sewing video to be lengthy, so I just placed my paper onto the fabric. The fabric is folded into 2 wrong sides facing me, and I just placed my pattern on top. Next up, I opened my pattern as wide as possible, accounting for the amount of fabric that I have, and also making sure to leave space at the side for my allowance. So please, you have to put those 2 things into consideration: the amount of fabric that you have, and also space on the side. As you're opening, always gauge for space at the side for your allowance. So I'll just pin that all down. So after pinning, next up, I'm taking my allowance on the arm parts, on the armhole parts, and I'm just marking 1/2 inch allowance all around. Then for my side, I'm going to be taking 1 inch allowance on the side, or 3/4. 1 inch maximum, 3/4 inches minimum. So I'm just taking that on both sides. So after getting my side allowances, I just blend it to touch the blend the armhole allowance to join the top. So now this is what I do again for my using the center line as guide. That point, remember, you can't use that point because we have extra attachment. So I'm going to be using on my pattern I can see where I joined the attachment from, so I'm going to be using that as guide. I'm going to use it to get the full sleeve measurement, and that's how I'll just get down. I'll get the full length at that part that is opened. So after doing that, I'm just going to blend that into the rest of the sleeve, and I'll mark my folding allowance of 1 inch. Remember, this is going to have an elastic at the hem, so at least 1 to 1.25 inch for your fold at the hem. So that's what I'm just doing. So after cutting the allowance for the hem, I'm just going to trim this and cut out my piece all around, and that's it. So after doing that, I'm just going to fold the middle into 2 and make a snip, so I know that that's the middle. I'm also going to make markings at the front part, so I know that that's the front, the side for the front when I'm attaching to the front. Please guys, if you haven't subscribed, please don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to give me a thumbs up and come back for the part 2. So I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye.